Hello everyone, welcome. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an intro to our forthcoming World War II rules called World in Conflict 3945. Big title because it covers all arms, all regions, all armies. This is a quick shot of the front cover as it's emerging at the moment as well. Probably won't be exactly like that, but it'll be pretty close. The rules have been developed by myself and Mark Bevis. Mark's of Micromark fame, so thousands and thousands of high-grade lists, if you know them, on the Wargames Vault, used by wargamers all over the world. Mark and I have been friends since we were about 13. We're from the same town. In fact, we started World War II wargaming together on his doorstep using unpainted micro armour and rocks for cover. So we've had a lot of fun with World War II over many, many years. So just to tell you a little bit about the rules, first of all, in terms of troops, it's all designed to work with the stuff we'll all have already. And base sizes are not terribly critical either. So most of us, including me, have an awful lot of 15mm stuff. So in 15mm, the rules work at the level of a single gun like this 88, or a single armoured vehicle like this massive Ferdinand Elephant represents a single vehicle on the tabletop. So all the guns and armour are 1-to-1 scale. Infantry is slightly different. Infantry works at one base rather than being 4 men. A single base represents a section. So a platoon will be, say, 3 or 4 of these. In ground scale terms, that actually is rather neat because a model vehicle and a section consume roughly the same space, which is about correct actually in terms of the way things were laid out in a battle at normal deployments. So a platoon would be those. These are Germans. If they were armoured, mechanised infantry, they'd have a single Hanomag with each. This base of heavy machine guns would represent 2 MG42s, and small bases like these are used for HQs or for special things like attaching a Panzerschreck team to a squad. So you can use exactly what you've got. So these are a few of my 15mm collection, and over here on the tabletop around us we have the end of a game that's been played in 1/200 scale, which is a scale I rather like for World War II on a 6x4. Okay, let me tell you a bit more about how the rules work. I'm not a big fan of fancy dice unless they serve a purpose. I mean, quite a lot I find are just producing normal dice. But I did invent a set of special dice that were used in Mortem and Glorium, which have particular characteristics that are rather nice and work off colours. So the system here, for all its shooting mechanics and morale mechanics, uses these special dice. Some of you may have seen them before. And all you do when you're doing anti-tank fire, say, is you find one of these that's correct for the range, that's been adjusted up or down for whether the target's easy or difficult to hit. Red being the best dice, so at close range, black being the worst dice for very extreme range. And then you roll a set of 3. You roll one of those, you roll one of these green dice, which does simultaneously getting past any cover that they have to protect them. So if they're behind a hedge, say, you need a 3 or more, so not much. If they're hull down, you need a 6 or more. And then the damage roll where the 10's the best. But the neat trick is you roll them all together, so it's extremely time efficient. Let's do a few rolls at sort of effective range for an anti-tank gun on that elephant. So this will be a miss. So you don't need to look at the other 2 dice, it's a blank. It's another blank. Let's see, it won't take long to get a few other options. So the skull is the best, that's a critical hit. The low score on that means if there's any cover, unfortunately it's hit cover. So you can look at that one first, and this will be a damage dice. To flick a few over, if that was an 8, it's past any cover, even if dug in. And if that was probably a 5, it will have blown up an enemy vehicle. The other ones on there are that's a normal hit, that's a miss, and that's a near miss that causes a suppression increase, but no more. So all you're firing is single shot per tube, rolling this set of 3 dice. Infantry, there's a platoon of infantry here from our 10mm game, have a similar system. They actually pick a dice that's the right one for the colour that's adjusted again, and then they would roll a suite of them. So these are high-grade late war German Panzer Grenadiers with double LMGs. And actually on average when they're close they end up rolling 4 yellows, which is quite nasty. That's an interesting roll to work our way through. That's 3 hits, these crosses being hits, and that usually is enough to take off a single normal sized enemy base. These are of course misses. Those are skulls are critical hits that cause a double hit. and if we worked with a load of S's, you won't be surprised to hear that they can only cause suppression effects and nothing else. So that roll, for instance, would probably push the suppression level of the troops they're shooting at up one level, but it wouldn't do any physical damage.